Tracy, go ahead and open us up.
Good morning. On behalf of Goodwill Southern California and Small Manufacturers Association of California, welcome to Manufacturing Day 2020 with DEKING Screw Products. This presentation will be recorded, and we kindly request that your mics remain muted. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat box by clicking the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Now, I would like to hand it over to Dave DeVandry, CEO of DEKING, who will lead you on the tour of the facility.
Is that working?
There you go.
All right. Can you guys see me? Or just hear me?
David.
I can hear you.
All right. Maybe our screen share is not right. One sec, guys.
There you are. We see the camera.
Sorry. You guys hear me now?
Yes, sir. You're
See
on.
me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's get started, guys. Welcome to Manufacturing Day 2020. I'm your host. My name is David DeVandry. I'm the CEO here at DEKING Screw Products. I'm the third generation CEO, passed down from my grandfather to my dad and now to me. Again, special thank you. I want to give a special thank you to Goodwill SoCal and also Small Manufacturing Association of SoCal, Small Manufacturing Institute, as well as a special thank you to Congressman Tony Cardenas and the Manufacturing Council. And one more final shout out to my kids, Oliver and Forrest. Hope you guys are home watching. Love you guys. All right, so let's get started. Behind me here, well, our business started in 1962 with this machine right here, an Acme Gridley. This machine was really built, it really supplied our troops and everything through World War II. It would pop out munitions, parts for aircrafts, parts for tanks. It would do it in seconds and would produce millions of parts. This machine, it's a lathe. It's a screw machine lathe. So what we do with this is we actually turn material. We'll get to a little bit of that later. But I also, but yeah, 1962, my grandfather started this business. My dad in the early 70s took it over at 19 because my grandfather had some heart problems. So he actually moved back to Tennessee. And at 19, my dad took this business over. I'm sure we have a lot of kids on here at 19. Imagine running a full-fledged business in 19. It wasn't easy. My dad did it. It's pretty amazing stuff. But anyways, why don't we come on inside and I'll give you a tour of our facility. So come on in. I'm going to put my mask on real quick, right? Because we're going inside. We take special precautions here. We have sanitizer everywhere. Everyone's wearing masks. We're doing what we can to make sure we minimize our risk for exposure. But what we run here now are Swiss screw machines. They're a little different from your normal screw machines. And I'm sure later on when we meet Yoni, he'll tell us about those. But we run 12-foot long bars here. You'll see those a little later too. But the idea is those bars spin really, really fast. And as they're spinning, imagine like this part spins really fast. The tool comes down. And it's going to turn this dimension down and also do threading. And we, you notice too, that we also have these flat spots. And these are mill dimensions. So our machines are capable of milling as well. And the cool thing about Swiss, and these are some parts we do, is that we want these parts to come off done in one operation. So everything you see here is off the machine in one operation. We run parts, aluminum. This is titanium over here. This is some 440C aircraft stainless. This is some more 440C. There's some copper. There's some 416 stainless. We do a lot of crazy materials here too. But today, one thing too is we're mostly geared towards aerospace. So we actually hold an AS9100 certificate that certifies that our quality systems, our systems that govern our shop, are good enough to run aerospace parts for planes. And as you can imagine, if you're on a plane somewhere, you want to make sure that the parts that are in your engine are manufactured by a company that knows what they're doing. And so that's what this does too. We a lot of our customers require that we have an AS9100 certificate. And then that way we ensure that we are running parts correctly. So our next part along the journey, you guys are gonna be our customer. And what we're gonna do is we are gonna manufacture this top right here. Okay, we have a print that is probably getting over at estimating right now. And later on, if you want, you can submit a request and we get you one of these tops. But we'll get to that later. So the next part along the journey, we're gonna go walk over to estimating and we're gonna meet June. June's gonna tell us a little about his job function, what he does, and how we get the ball started rolling over here. So, hey June. Hey June, can you tell me a little about what you do?
Sure. Hello, my name is June, and I am the estimator here at DEKING Screw Products. So when customers want us to make something, they'll send over what's called an RFQ. They'll send over a blueprint. And so what I do is I have to estimate the cost of making this part. I have to see if there's outside processing, like does it need to get plated? I have to see what materials are needed to make this part. I have to see how long it's going to take to make this part. And when I have that information gathered, I'll send them back over a quote. And yeah, that's what I do here as an estimator.
Awesome, man. And do you mind telling me also why you like manufacturing?
I like manufacturing because it covers multiple areas of industry, like bikes and guns and military stuff. Like we make cool stuff for military, for bikes, and I just think it's so awesome that everything that you see, it's made at a manufacturing shop like this one.
Very cool. Hey, listen, this is the part we're gonna make right here. This is the top, right? So what would happen is, let's say you as my customer, you would send this drawing over to June. June would then take that, like you said, and he's gonna go put that into our system, come out with a price, and make sure we can make it. And then we say, okay, so now we send you as a quote, and you say, hey, okay, that price looks good. We're going to send over June an order. June's going to process the order. What that does is then create some requirements for us to purchase like material or later on some outside processing. But where that happens next is then we go to our purchaser, and this is Jairo. Jairo's in charge of purchasing, and he'll tell you a little bit about what he does.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think he already stated my name, but my name is Jairo. I'm the purchasing agent here at DEKING Screw Products. And a lot of what June does, he sets me up for success, right? So once we got the job, he sets me up. I go ahead and purchase a material. I send over what's called a PO, a purchase order. I send a purchase order for whether that's brass, aluminum, stainless steel. And then after that, I make sure, right, that my vendor, the person that I sent the purchase order to, I make sure that the material gets here on time. I make sure that the quality is A1 as well. And then also another part of my job is that sometimes parts, they have to go out to a separate outside process that we can't do here in our shop, whether that's heat treat, plating. I make sure that they also, their quality and also their on-time delivery is good as well. So yeah.
Very cool. Can you tell me why you like manufacturing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love manufacturing. Actually, I wouldn't even say I like it. I love it because I get to learn something new every day. I'm actually, I'm a learner. So I can't tell you how many times since I took on this position that I've learned something new. There are literally thousands of different types of grades of steel that I'm learning, that I have learned since I took on this role. So it's just awesome to see.
Cool, man. Hey, listen, for this part, I'm going to need some 13/16 brass. Can you order that for me? We're going to need it quick though, because we're going to be running this very soon. Thank you, sir. All right, guys. So the next part of our shop tour is we're going to give you a little tour of our shop. So come on into our manufacturing floor. You see right here, we have our bars, right? So I told you earlier that we run 12-foot bars. And so these are the things that we turn in these bar loaders right here on our Swiss screw machines. And what these will do, if we turn these really fast, the tools go and they're going to cut this and make them look into the parts that you see on the print. So these are our Swiss screw machines right here. We have two L12s right here. These can go up to a 1/2-inch bar. Right now we're running 304 on that machine, and this machine right here, we're in some titanium. Fun factoid about our shop is last year, 2019, we ran 3.8 million parts through this shop. So a pretty crazy number. We have 6 A20s. These machines can go up to 13/16 round material. So as you notice, I ordered some 13/16 brass from our purchaser. We're going to use that a little later when we machine this part. But our next stop along the journey, after we get the order going, now we got to have our programmer program this part and make sure that everything's going to work out well. So let's go meet Albert. All right, come on in. So this is Albert right here. Albert, can you tell me what you do?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so essentially what I do is I take our print and our part, and I begin to look at what are some of the operations that we need to accomplish in order to take our bar of metal, our stock, and machine this part and to cut what tools we need. So that's one of the first steps is I analyze and I begin to see based off the capabilities of a machine, what tools we need to get this job done. And once I've identified those tools, I'll make sure that we have them. If not, I'll get with our purchasing and we make sure we get those purchases for this job. And then what I do is I begin and I take our solid, we produce our solid and we put it in our CAM system. So here you can see a full view of the part that we're manufacturing. So this is the back, and we know that we can make this all in one shot. So I take these knowing the tools that I have. I put my tools in, I calculate our feeds and speeds, and we begin to just make tool paths for all of these shapes that we're manufacturing. So here you can see some of our tool paths. And then once we get that, I want to run through a simulation of kind of what it's going to look like as I'm running it to make sure there's no funky stuff going on, the machine doesn't crash. So that's what I do here is I begin to analyze our simulation. And here you can see a simulation of what our machine, the inside of our machine looks like. So I can hide all the other stuff and just so we can see the tool, what our tools are doing. And I begin to see our simulation of what exactly is going on. You see this tool came in and turned this entire thing. Now it's coming at the top and turning ROD. And I run through our simulation. And let me speed this up. So our part cuts off on the front, our subspindle picks up. And then on the back side, simultaneously as it's working on the front, our backside is also being manufactured. Also, we cut time in half because we can do things. That's our capability. Those are some of the cool things about our machines is that we're able to do things simultaneously. So I can show you what our backside is doing. Let me show you here. So as that's going on, you can see the backside turned and we have our finished product here.
That was quick, yeah. Yep. All right, so we sped that up a little bit because this cycle time is about 44 seconds. But before we go, can you tell me why you like manufacturing?
Sure. I think the passion for me really started in high school. I was involved in a really great engineering program and robotics program all 4 years of high school, and that really developed the fun for me. Really, I liked making something out of nothing, and I like the challenge that comes every day, problem solving and figuring things out. It's something different. Yeah.
Hey, did you finish that program? I did. Cool. Can you send it over to machine number 6? All right. So we're gonna go over to machine number 6 now. We're gonna go meet Yoni. Yoni's should be manufacturing this part right now. That program ran over there real quick, man. I can't believe he's already manufacturing it. But as we go here, you see as we walk down Swiss Row here, our 820s are right here, and you'll see Yoni over here, ready for our next stop. So hey, Yoni. Hello. All right, Yoni, can you? This is Yoni. He's our COO of our company. He's been doing this most of his life, and he's an amazing wealth of knowledge to have. We're happy to have him. So Yoni, take it away.
Thanks, Dave. So a little bit about myself. I started in this business when I was 16 years old. Right, I was still in high school when I started, and been doing it ever since. So this was back in 1983. Now I'm dating myself, but that's okay. Anyhow, I've been doing this a long time, and so there's a wealth of knowledge that I've gained over the years. So back then I was running engine lathes and Bridgeport and also Barber Coleman gear machines. And then I went to a company that started running cam type Swiss Swiss screw machines. And so they call it Swiss style screw machines because of the unique factor, they have a sliding headstock. So when you open up this cabinet in here actually clamps onto the material that if you pan to the right there, Israel, you can see in here is a 12-foot bar that we turn into, in this case, the top, which is the part that we're manufacturing for you guys. And so the unique thing about that is you can run long, skinny parts with very tight tolerances because you have a bushing. So now we're making that part. That's right here. This is the top that we're making. Sorry about that. The fans are on. So go ahead and focus into the machine. I want to push the button so you can start. You can see it running. There we go. It's going to start running right there. You see, we have two tools in the cut, one on the front, one on the back side. So you can see head 1 and head 2 cutting at the same time. You see chips coming from both places. And so therefore you can run the back side and the front side at the same time. Here we come. It's going to dump the part over there. And then we're going to come out of the conveyor belt. Parts are going to come down, the part chute. There we go. And there's your complete parts. So that is something that we can make here. We have a philosophy here at DEKING, especially on these Swiss type screw machines, where we call it done in one. So we have no second operation work whatsoever. And so that means that anything that blueprint requires, we finish it on the machine. And so that way there's no additional touches to the part. And then also I wanted to show you guys Well, this part right here is a very, very long, skinny part, as you can see. Believe it or not, right here along this rough edge of the part, there's 73 serrations. And this part here is used for brain surgery. It's also made out of hypodermic needle. I don't know if you can see the little hole that goes through the part. That part right there, it's used for brain surgery, and we flush water through that hole as we're doing brain surgery. So as you can see, it's a very, very critical part, long and skinny. The only machine you can make this on is a Swiss type screw machine, because you have your tools so close to the bushing, so there is no deflection. All right, and I just want to let you guys know that, hey, this is something that something that you can definitely make a living at if you want to continue and learn. You can make a really good living at this. I've lived in this area for a long time. Live up in Granada Hills. I have 2 kids that are grown now. Grandkid on the way, and you can do really well. So you guys keep at it. Here you go, Dave.
Thank you, Yoni. All right, so I got a part here, and the next stop along the journey is now we're going to go over to our QA room. We're going to meet Janet. Janet's going to check this part and make sure that it's going to be the print. So come on to our QA room right here. And there's Victor. Victor's one of our Swiss screw machine guys over here, setting up a part. All right, so hey, Janet. All right, Janet, so we're going to check this part in a second. But before we get started, can you tell me what you do?
Hello. So I inspect parts. So pretty much I make sure that the parts are within print. And
cool. And she also, she does tons of things. She formats reports. We have to, every part we do, we have to have an inspection report. She fills all those out, and she's been awesome. She's been moving up the ranks here. We're so happy to have Janet here. Janet, can you tell me why you like manufacturing?
it's just looking at different parts, like getting to see the parts that are, somewhat out there. So seeing that we run them like we do them.
We do a lot of parts here. Janet sees a new part every day.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you check this part for me and see if we're going to be in tolerance? So what are we going to do first? The OD? Yeah. All right, so we're going to check the outside diameter of this part. Based on the print, we should be between 803 thousandths to 813 thousandths. One thing we haven't mentioned, these Swiss screw machines are actually capable of holding 0.0001 thousandths, 1/10 thousandths of an inch. So, and we got 806, so we're in tolerance. Great. And then the last thing to do, let's check the overall length on here. We should be around 1 inch on here, plus or minus 5 thousandths. All right, 104. We are right on the high. Very, very cool. So this is a good part, guys. Well, thank you, Janet. Appreciate it. The next part along the journey here, what we do at this point is this part could be done, or what we do is take it over to plating, and maybe we can get them gold plated or silver plated or any type of plating, right? We also maybe this is where we do heat treating, but this part we're pretty much done. So again, if you want one of these, we're going to provide a link later where you can submit a form and we can get those out to you guys. Right here we have our Nakamura. And there's another machine we run. Same concept. We want these parts done in one operation. It has two twin turrets and 2 twin spindles. And here's the part we have right here that's coming off, all in one operation from heat treated 17.4, which is an aircraft stainless. As we make our way over to our Q&A session, I'm going to pass it off back to Daniel, and he has a few things to say to you guys. All right.
All right, guys. Wow, that was amazing. Oh my gosh. Virtual clap, because that was awesome. Big tour of the shop. I thought that was really, really cool. So like he said, we're going to do questions and answers, guys. So in the chat box, we're not going to allow any microphone questions, but in the chat box in the Zoom, start typing in your questions, and Dave will be able to answer as many as we can with the time that we have remaining. We have about a good 10-15 minutes left for these questions and answers. Before we do that, I'd just like to share with you guys, if this is something that you are interested in the manufacturing industry, is something that you're interested in, then kind of what do you do? What are some of the next steps? Really, the first step is to get educated. There's a ton in LA of education, schools, and high schools, colleges, CME Institute. This is just a few, just to name it: College of the Canyons, LAVC, Pierce College, CSUN, CME Institute, Chatsworth High School, Van Nuys High School. There's a whole bunch of manufacturing programs at all of these school locations. And I encourage you, if you're at any one of these schools, to go and ask your teachers, how do I get into these programs, so you can begin your education experience. And really step two at that point, or again, step one would be online education. There's a ton. YouTube is filled. You can go to Haas Academy on YouTube and learn a ton about how to CNC and manufacture. Titans of CNC Academy online. A whole slew of education. After that, I would say you need to go try to get hired in the industry. DEKING, you can go try to get hired at the very shop that you just saw. You can go into their website and hit contact and go see if you can apply. Once you've gained some skills, maybe online skills, maybe you've completed an LAVC course, then I would suggest you go try to get hired at one of these companies so you can get some actual work experience flowing. And then after that, most of the time, these companies have upskilling programs. They have apprenticeship programs inside so you can advance your career within that company. But of course, guys, always make sure that you're continuing your education while you work, so you can be going to CSUN while you're working for DEKING or Repair Tech or Patrick Industries or Broco Rankin. There's a whole bunch of manufacturers across the valley that you can work for. So I think David's about ready to go for the questions and answers. Hopefully you guys are filling up that chat box for questions for him so he can start answering them up. Let me shift back over to Tracy M to take it back over.
So Dave, we have some questions in the chat box. And the first question is, what was the software Albert was working on?
Oh, there we go. Here, why don't we look at Albert? I'll let him take that.
Yeah, so the software we're using to program is called Esprit Cam. So it's a CAD CAM software. So we can do everything from drawing our solid part in there to programming our tool paths. And it has Esprit does a great job with working with the machines that we use. They develop awesome post processors. So when we post our code, it's already formatted perfectly for our machines.
Great, thank you, Albert. The next question, it seems the products you make vary in use. What is the most common item or product you make for clients?
I can answer that one. So we are primarily geared towards aerospace. You know, with the coronavirus going on, aerospace is kind of taking a dip. So we've been just trying to get creative, and we can really make parts for anything. You know, June mentioned earlier, we're reaching out to bike companies. We can make parts for them. We've got a few RFQs from some gun companies for our defense. You know, at this point, Swiss, there's really nothing holding them back. They can make anything, but our shop is more geared towards aerospace. Yeah.
The next question is from Jose Espinoza. Do you guys only use lathes or perhaps mills?
Well, I'll hand this off to Yoni. I didn't hear it. Oh, do we primarily use lathes or do we have mills?
Well, we do have both. However, lathes is what the screw machines are mainly known for, but they can also mill. So we can make parts complete on both. You know, you can mill and turn at on the same machine. That's what they're so unique. You can do several things to complete. So that's where both are done on the same machine. Great. So we do very little second up because we make parts done in one on our Swiss type screw machines.
Thank you. We have another question. How fast do you guys run through coolant?
What was the question?
How fast do you guys run through coolant?
That's another Yoni question.
Well, we actually, what we do is we run everything is oil-based coolants, and we reclaim our oil. So we spin our chips and run centrifugal force to extract the oil out of it, and then run it through a filter and reuse it. So I would say we probably buy a 55-gallon drum of oil every 2 months or so, not much more than that, for a total of 9 machines.
Not a lot.
No, not much.
Thank you. The next question is, how many machines do you guys have in the factory?
Well, we said again, we primarily run Swiss screw machines. We have 9 of those. We actually have 4 3-axis lathes. We also have 1 Nakamura, which is a twin spindle, twin turret. We have a few like hand lathes, a few Omni turns. And we used to have a lot, like 17 Acme Gridleys in the back too. So but we've been reducing a little bit because of coronavirus. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, the Swiss is really the bread and butter. We have 9 of those right now.
Great.
Yep.
Next questions are, how do you get involved in this job, and about what is the yearly income?
Well, I'll speak to the income part and before I get in part of the job. But yeah, the best thing to do is you can send us a resume. I think I got some echoes going on over here. But you can send us a resume. Like you said earlier, Daniel said you can go to our website, go to the contact. You can submit a resume through there or call us, and we can do an interview. Right now, it's depending on, we have starting salaries at a little bit above minimum, but then we can get up to, depending on where the shop's going in the future, we hope to, have multiple 6-figure incomes here.
Thanks, Dave. This question is from Saray Estrada. Don't you have to clean the wastes produced in your machinery? If so, how do you clean it?
The waste.
Produced, how do we clean it? We have a company that picks it up.
Yeah. So any hazardous waste that we produce, whether it's like maybe, we spill oil and we get floor dry and we have to do that, everything that's hazardous, we're going to separate off. And then we have a hazardous waste company pick it up. And from my understanding, they just go and put it in some incinerator and just completely destroy it. So that's, yeah, but we produce very little hazardous waste. Like we said earlier, we spin our chips like crazy. So we're always reclaiming our chips. We're doing everything we can. We even sell all of our chips to chip dealers too. So we try our best here to reduce the amount of waste we make.
This is probably a follow-up question to what you just said. What happens to all the scrap that is cut off of the steel?
Exactly. So yeah, we sell it to a chip dealer, and then they pay us. They basically pay us for our chips. They then go to a yard who then turns that recycles into maybe more bars down the line or something. Yeah.
Okay, this one is from Christopher Rios. Are you an international company or just in the States?
Well, we actually we have a few accounts international, but primarily in the States, and we're doing a lot of domestic stuff because we do defense and aerospace, which is which for us is primarily domestic.
Okay. And
so now with coronavirus, we're seeing a little bit of work come back. We've definitely got some RFQs from some people trying to test and see what our price would be versus what the prices were in China. RFQ is what June works with is called a request for a quote. So like we said earlier with the tops, if you want to, if you wanted to see what our price would be, you send us an RFQ to June. June would then send you back a quote after he does his job.
Great.
Yeah.
The next one's from Marcelo Granados. Do you guys in the manufacturing industry business have to remember a specific amount of codes in order to get a job as one?
Oh, you mean like G codes? I'll pass this off to Albert. You have to memorize like certain G codes in order to get a job.
I wouldn't say it's a must. It's definitely something that comes along with the job. You do something every day, those things are going to start picking up. Some of the great things about a lot of the newer machines is that they have a code list function right in the machine, so you can at any time view all the G codes and what they do and view the M codes. So I wouldn't say it's a must, but it's definitely something that you learn as you go.
It wouldn't hurt either. I mean, obviously the more knowledge you come in here, if you know G code, you know G codes, it's gonna put more feathers in your hat if you're trying to get a job. So, learning some G code and understanding how it works, I would say is a great way to impress your employer, maybe your future employer. Yeah. Next question.
Does the city or state place sensors so no waste contaminates outside?
One more time.
Does the city or state place sensors, I guess, on the exterior of your buildings so no waste contaminates outside?
Not really. What we do is we actually have to have a water runoff permit. So what happens is that we have to take our own samples and submit those to labs to make sure that we're hitting, we're not contaminating. Like if we have oil on our yard or on our roof, if rain comes, that water is not going to be contaminating our sewers. And so we try really hard here to make sure we're clean and that we're not contaminating our environment.
Great.
Yeah.
This one's from Jacob Salcido. What was one of the largest orders you've ever received?
Oh. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, it's probably the job we just finished. We just shipped it, the last shipment in August. Yeah, it was for a defense program for a missile defense program, and we shipped I think 144,000 pieces. And the job I think it was upwards about that single purchase order was around $300,000. So you can do the math and find out how much we sold those for.
Okay, let's do a couple of more questions. Let's see here. Where did your group get their knowledge and education on manufacturing?
All right, who wants to answer that? Hira, you want to step up?
Yeah, I'll step up. What was the question again?
How did you how did you use the knowledge? In fact, we can all answer it.
Yeah, when I started here, I started off in quality, which is Janet's department, and then 2 weeks later, it wasn't a fit for me, so I ended up in the wash department, and then I ended up in second ops, and I kind of just worked my way up. A position opened up in the EDM office, and I just jumped on it. I was like, hey, I took calculus in high school. I think I'm a good fit. I might be able to learn this. And I did. I learned quite a bit. I'm not an expert. I learned some G codes, some M codes, all that cool stuff. And then purchasing was kind of a job that was in demand. And then I eventually got promoted. And a lot of it has just been me saying yes. And a lot of yeses to opportunities. So yeah, always be a learner for sure.
Okay, I actually started as a purchaser, and then Dave was doing the estimating. I think he was getting overwhelmed, and he threw a blueprint at me and told me to look at it. And I saw the blueprint, and it just looked like it was in something out of this world. But it was very interesting. I had fun investigating and looking at the different things, learning different parts. And as a purchaser, I got to learn about different materials, different processes. So it was easy for me to just begin routing and doing all that. And yeah, that's where I am today. So now I'm transitioning more into sales, try to get more companies in here so we can make parts for new different industries.
One thing you don't know about June, but he's actually very good at spinning tops. I mean, he's probably our best top spinner. This thing's going to go for 3 minutes. So when you get yours, you can see how long yours going. But let's pass it off let's go to Albert.
Dave, I just wanted to find out.
I think I said it previously. My journey kind of began in high school. I was involved in I was lucky that my school, Hawthorne High School, was blessed with like a huge machine shop. We had a bunch of lathes and mills and some CNCs. And that's kind of where my journey began in high school. I took some IED classes. You learn how to use some CAM software, some CAD software, and draw. And the basics, really, how to measure something. What's a mic? What's a caliper? And then there was some time there from after high school. It was about maybe like a 7-year gap where I didn't do anything in manufacturing. And I came working here. So it was kind of working here I had to retrain my mind to kind of do all that stuff again. But it was a pretty quick journey. It was kind of like muscle memory. A lot of that stuff came back, and just learning these type of machines that we work with, the Swiss type lathe screw machines, what their capabilities were and how they worked. And as I got a better understanding of them and learning to set them up, the programming stuff kind of just came after. Yeah.
Okay, and for me, it was something very different. Like I came from a fast food industry. I was a manager for 14 years. So getting here was challenging at the beginning because it was hard. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to reprint, but they gave me the opportunity of, to learn. And, they never said no just because you don't know anything, or it was just training. But Yeah.
And to speak on that, and one thing I love about what's going on here is that, you know, every single one of our employees, they had the passion to learn. They were willing to learn. They were willing to say yes to jobs that were not necessarily something they knew, but they knew they can learn. And so, you know, just like and Janet, you know, she never had any experience in manufacturing, but we saw what she was capable of in her management experience, and we knew that we can teach her. And so, you know, she's worked closely with Yoni, with me, and she's picked up a ton of things along the way and become an absolute integral member of our team, to the point where we rely on her so much. And it's, you know, every single one of them here, they've been knocking out their jobs out of the park. And again, you know, a lot of them had no experience coming into this. So, yeah. What's the next question?
Thank you so much, Dave. We have quite a few questions left in the chat box. I suggest that anyone that has questions that we have not answered, if you could please email your teachers and they can forward it on to us, and we'll be happy to address them that way. I'd like to pass the mic over to Daniel Weirman.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tracy. Dave, I have one more question for you and your team. How do we actually get a top? I know that we wanted to get a link out to the teachers that are on this call so they can get the tops in so they can pass them out to their students. Dave, how are they going to be able to get these tops?
Oh, of course. Okay. Everyone, you go over to www.dekingscrew.com. That's our website, www.dekingscrew, DEKINGSCREW /top. And that will direct you to a form you can fill out. And I suggest your teacher do it, and that way then they can request how many they want. Try to limit to one per student, because we might be running out. We only got enough for like 2 bars, which is maybe a couple hundred pieces. So there's a lot of people on this call, and it's exciting. And we'll see. Hopefully, we can maybe fulfill all of you guys' requests. But again, www.dekingscrew.com /top.
Great. I love it. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. We also, if you want to take a shop tour, we have a tour on there too. And you can actually walk our shop floor right there.
Well, I love it. All right, guys. On behalf of Goodwill Southern California, Swag, DEKING, and everyone else that helped us out on this call and put it all together, we have so many schools on this call, so many people from all over the place. Thank you so much. That'll do it. Everyone's waving by. I hope you guys have a great week. Everyone stay safe. And I'll see you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, guys.
Happy Manufacturing Month, guys.
Hey, take care.